The Plotcast Podcast with the Potty Plotters.
Hello and welcome back to the Potty Plotters Plotcast podcast. This is season 3, episode 2, and I'm Julia.
And I'm Elaine.
See, I've noticed something, right? So,
what?
You know when you wrote...
Don't you point at me like that?
You know when you wrote this?
Yes.
This
these little
running
lists.
order. Yeah, this list. When it's your turn to speak first, you put Julia first.
Yeah.
And when it's Julia's turn to speak first, you put yourself first.
She's done it to test us.
It don't really matter.
I think we've passed.
Yeah.
We all know who we are.
Do we?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah. If you've listened to episode 1, thank you very much. And here we are, episode 2. And just a quick reminder from Gareth, because we can never remember these. Gareth, how do people get in contact with us? Send us questions, pictures, or just
Be careful
comments?
with the pictures. If you have any questions, if you've got a safe for work picture, if you'd like to send us an email that doesn't start with the line, I've got a big one, then you can send us stuff on Facebook and Instagram. We're at Potty Plotters. You can email naughtycorner at pottyplotters.uk, or you can check out the website pottyplotters.uk. And for the second time out of 4, this episode of the Plotcast is being brought to you by J. Parker's, which is a family-run business stretching over 3 generations who are passionate about sharing the gardening journey with you and supplying the best value bulbs, plants and seeds with unbeatable customer service. Use the code PLOTCAST15 to receive 15% off your order. Find them by searching online jparkers.co.uk.
The Plotcast Podcast with the Potty Plotters, sponsored by J. Parker's.
Right. Well, Julia, these starters have been your sort of...
Project.
Yeah. Prodigy.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
No.
They're your prodigies.
Yeah.
But
Loads of them.
they're your pet project.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so last year, as we have done for the past 7 or 8 years now, I think, we have starter plots on our allotment site, which is basically we took one plot and we chopped it into 6 smaller plots, and on those plots we have little sheds, and in the sheds they have all the tools they'll need, and they have a plot that's basically completely clear, so it's all dug over at the end of the season, and we start in January with new starter plotters. Now last year, as every year, we started with 6, and 4 of them have actually moved on to plots of their own on site. The other 2 who didn't move on, I think they probably had a good year, but I think they probably learnt very quickly that it does take quite a commitment and a lot of time to look after an allotment, and I just think it was the wrong time for the 2 that haven't moved forward. But of the 4 that have moved forward, we've invited them along today to find out their experiences and perhaps give a few tips to the listeners about what they think were the challenges of having an allotment. Liz, I'm not insulting you here. You have given me permission to tell everybody this, but you are the oldest starter plotters that we've ever had. So why did you want to start a plot?
Well, we knew some people who'd got a plot just along from the starter plots. They were the daughter of my husband's best friend and her partner, and they showed us around, and we were so impressed that we thought we'd give it a go.
But why didn't you have a full plot then?
Because we're old.
So do you feel you had the knowledge for growing on the allotment?
No.
Okay.
We thought we did. We thought we knew quite a lot. But it wasn't until we came to your growing academy that we realised we didn't know much at all. And you taught us everything. So.
What do you think is the biggest difference then between growing at home in your garden, just generally gardening, and allotmenting?
I think it's the camaraderie, the other people, especially the new starters that we started with.
You see, I remember you, Liz, because I used to be letting secretary, and I remember showing you and Brian round, and I remember the confidence that you had. I was going to say the confidence of youth, but I'm not. I'm not going to say that. But what I am going to say is I remember showing you round, and you were very confident. You said, we've got a lovely garden at home, we're big gardeners, and Brian, your husband, lovely husband, joined in on that. Now then, what we saw was a complete opposite when you started on the allotments. So for people who are listening who often think that they're really good gardeners and therefore this will be easy peasy to transfer straight over to allotments, what's the difference?
We did think we were we were going to be quite good at it because my dad used to have an enormous garden, and at the top was an allotment, and we used to help him and probably mainly eat it all. And we thought, we know a lot, we don't need to go to the Growing Academy. And we thought we wouldn't. We said, no, we're not going to go to it. And then we thought, perhaps we ought to. So we did. And boy, are we glad we did.
But what is it that you've learned then?
I think the main thing is you don't need to grow as much of a certain thing as you think you do.
What, like a whole row of cabbages, 48 in all,
or 12,
or whatever?
12 stalks of sprouts.
I did tell her that was a lot of sprouts, but she was insistent, Elaine. Daughter wanted them.
And then 6 pots of aubergines.
You've done a whole year.
Yes.
And your experience has been memorable by the sounds of it.
It's been great. We've really enjoyed it. It's just such good fun. You're out in the fresh air, you meet lovely people, and it's just good fun.
But on top of that, look who else you got as neighbours.
Yeah, you got lovely Tom. Tom, it would be fair to say that you are a very busy young man. So what is it that you think you've benefited from being on the starter plots? What has that given you?
I think it's just a place to escape kind of work and kind of being, busy at work, working lots of shifts, coming in and relaxing. For me, it's oddly mindful, just coming to the plot and knowing that I have to, say, plant something, dig something, move something. I just find it like a nice getaway, really. So I'd say that's the big thing.
And what were the challenges you faced, Tom?
Well, I think the slug problem was dealt with nematodes, so thanks for that. I think it links to what Liz was saying. I think I grew too much. I think that was the biggest challenge, and that's a nice challenge to have. When I planted things at home before, the plants maybe haven't done as well as they've done here because of the care that's been given here. And so I've just left with bags upon bags of like lovely veg. So that's, I think, is the nicest challenge I think I've had.
As well as Tom and Liz, we've also got Kevin here with us. Now, Kevin, I have to say, I think he's the voice piece of the partnership, but I think there is somebody driving this partnership behind the scenes. And probably, because you just said to me, the plan was to retire in about 5 years and have an allotment, and you've already got one. Now, that makes me think that your partner, Claire, may have had something to do with that.
Definitely, yes. We just stumbled into this by mistake. We just we wandered down to the plot looking for a friend, and then not to find a friend.
Did you have a banner or something? Please
I knew
be
somebody
my
who
friend.
already had an allotment down at the association. We walked in blind, and then we thought this is all right, and then we bumped into Julia, and she suggested the starter plot area. We thought, no, if we're going to do it, we just want our own plot. But I'm glad we did the starter plot way, because we've learned such a lot from it.
What do you think is the biggest thing that you've learned?
It's a discipline, I think. When you're at home, I suppose, it's just outside your back door and you just wander out and do what you've got to do. But you've actually got to physically travel to the place and plan it. You can't just turn up. You've got to have a plan to take stuff with you to feed. You've got to have a plan what you're going to do. You can't just turn up. It just won't happen.
One thing that nobody's mentioned yet, which I've seen, because when I am looking over, I can hear them and see them. I don't think they actually know that. Yeah. But I've seen them sharing.
Oh, they do share.
They do share.
And actually, Elaine, they've got their own little group where after we finished the Growing Academy, they carried on meeting and eating cake together and going out for breakfast together.
I don't remember getting invited at all. No. But I am saying that you did, when you have had excess, there's a lot out there that would make good use of the excess that we've all got. Mm-hmm. But of course it goes off so quickly, so how do you actually get rid of it? And the great thing is that I don't know if you did that deliberately, if you all grew different things to share. We do that with tomatoes. I grow the little ones that are brilliant. Julia takes ages on growing the very big ones, but then we share those as well, don't we? Yes. And I think that's what allotmenting's all about as well, as giving them away to, all kinds of different things to your neighbours, etc.
Of course, and seeds especially.
Yes.
They come in little packets and they get offered to you, and you accept them gratefully.
So what would you say to anyone who is thinking about taking an allotment?
I think it's a great idea, and do it.
What about the energy? Where do you get all of that from then?
I don't know, but she doesn't half crack the whip with poor Brian. Oh, gosh.
It's all right, isn't it? Because, Kev's just sat there nodding. Claire, over the other side of the room, is nodding at her, I think. So where do you get the energy from, Claire?
So I get excited coming down to the polytunnel on a Saturday and just seeing what's grown, because you may have left it the week before and it could be a tiny little something, and you go the following week and it's the wow experience, and you get that every time you go down. It's like Christmas, getting a little gift.
And I think when we look over at Claire and Kev's plot, we're going to see a lot of flowers as well, Elaine. Yeah.
It's all right, Kev's laughing. I don't think so, actually, Julia. I'm not sure.
No.
So at home, we've already set some bulbs, alliums, things like that, ready to go into the plot when they're ready, because at the moment our plot is a new plot. It's all dug over, ready to go, and obviously we couldn't put the bulbs in the ground then, so they're all growing at home now, ready to go in when we're ready.
And I tell you what, I do think that a lot of people have in their mind a picture of what this allotment is going to be like. Have you drawn an image of what your plots are going to be like?
Well, we haven't, but I used to work in interiors, so indoor interiors. So for me, this is just, it's an outdoor room. So that's how I like to look at it and plan it. And if we like something, we will grow it. If we don't, we won't grow it.
Tom, have you done a plan?
Tom's got quite a challenging plot to the listeners. Tom took on a plot that actually has lots of fruit on it, which is brilliant, and it had a shed on it and everything else. But I have to say, it was very overgrown, and it is riddled with mare's tail. So he's got a challenge on, but you're up for it, aren't you, Tom?
Yeah, no, we've got a plan. And have I made a map or a plan? Yes, definitely. But it's changed every time I've come to the plot.
Yeah, it does. And that's what we do all the time. You have it in your head what you're going to do and then change it.
I draw it out, technical drawing, and then the next week I'm like, well, I can't do that because, I don't know, there's a tree stump in the way, or, there's actually another shed at the back. Random things that I keep finding. But,
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Just persevere with it, and you can achieve what you want to.
It's coming together. I think yesterday there's a nice big push, I'd say, filled in the raised bed. So I'm very chuffed with that. So it's all coming along.
It's sunny outside, so you've got the full day ahead of you. So off you go, everybody.
Contact the Potty Plotters anytime on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram at Potty Plotters, or email naughtycorner@pottyplotters.uk.
Well, never mind all that nonsense, Julia. I want to talk about broad beans.
Oh, here we go. Broad beans.
Broad beans. Here we go.
See you later.
Yeah.
Wind her up. Set her off.
Well, you'll be pleased to know that these have actually come from J. Parker's.
Let me have a look.
Here you go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they look like broad beans.
Yeah.
Yes, they truly are broad bean seeds.
And how do you know they're broad beans, Elaine?
Because they're the only bean with a bottom.
Oh, yes, they are.
Indeedy. Yes, that's not a pantomime, Julia, when you said, oh, yes, they are. Yes, they are. Yes, you turn the bean on its side and there it is. And that's what makes them so funny, I always think. They're the biggest bean that we get to set, but it's at this time of year that we can set them going. Now then, last episode, we talked about doing more container growing, and I'm quite determined that that's what we're going to do.
Okay.
And so this is a perfect one because it's Sutton, and this is a dwarf variety that we're going to plant either in a container, or we can actually do them in the meal barrows.
We've done them in the meal barrows before.
We have, yeah, and I did them last year, Gareth, and I will say, bar none, they were the best ever. They grew to be about a foot tall. What's that in new money?
About
30.
30 centimetres.
30.
Yeah.
Oh, look at him, he's on it as well, isn't he?
Oh, we're similar age, you see.
Right, okay. Well, anyway, as I say, a foot tall, and they don't need any staking, nothing. But it was incredible.
But can you have them with steak?
Yes, you can. You can, and I'm going to make you eat some this year.
Are you?
They are gorgeous.
Do they have lots of pods on them?
Yes, they do. And the good thing about Sutton is you can take the pod, if you wanted to, you could eat the whole thing as a whole bean, as a small bean. Don't leave them until they get too big. But actually, they only grow about, what's that in
That looks about 10 centimetres.
Yeah.
About 4 inches.
About
4 inches, yeah, that's great. And they grow small beans in there, and they're sweet, and they are absolutely beautiful. So as a broad bean, I think they're lovely.
As somebody that doesn't really like broad beans, and it's probably due to how they've been served in the past, how would you convert me to eating broad beans? Not pinning me down and opening my mouth and shoving them in. That's illegal. That's force feeding. How would you convert me into liking them?
I think what we're going to do, Gareth, is we'll get some when they are very small, so they'll be about, as I say, 4 inches. The beans inside are green and sweet, and I think if we steam some, you would like them.
Do they still have that?
They don't
membrane?
have that grey shell over them. No. I don't like that. No,
it's a papery shell, isn't it?
Well, for bacon, he'd like it. He'd like it with bacon fat dripped all over it. Yeah, that's okay.
Talking about broad beans, yesterday I was in a supermarket and I saw what they were saying as fava beans.
Could you fathom it out?
F-A-V-A, which are basically broad beans.
They are.
But what they've done is dried them out and then tossed them in some different flavourings. So there was barbecue and there was... And almost serving them like a peanut or something like that. Have you ever done that?
No.
Oh, would you?
No. No. Okay. But what I am going to do, I have had another thought that actually a risotto, because you are a risotto king, are you not?
I'm not the king. I like a risotto.
But you like doing it.
No, I don't make them.
Oh, I thought that you did.
No, it's the other half that does a risotto.
Oh. Well,
you'll have to convert hers. You'll have to convert hers, to be fair.
Yeah, but I think I'm picky. You would like that.
You think I'm picky?
Well, we're going to have a little go because I think if you.
Something we didn't really do last year was force feed me stuff.
No, I was going to.
You were, but then you probably checked the legalities behind some of it.
So we will do that because they grow lovely. But what we're going to do is set them off now. So all that we're going to do is use a cell tray, go back to that again, simply because the weather, until the weather starts to warm up, it's not worth putting them out because, like us, if you walked out here with no clothes on, I tell you what, you'd be very cold. But you'd get very cold very quick.
Suddenly you'd see the police quicker than you've ever seen them before.
Yes, they would probably be here. So instead, what we're going to do is we'll set them in a cell tray. So with it being a big bean, what do we say about big beans?
Big beans on your side.
Yes, get them on your side. Gareth was almost going to answer. Oh. It's just like running a kindergarten here, isn't it? It's lovely. So you put the bean on its side.
Get the games out later.
and put them double the depth of the depth of the seed. Mm-hmm. So if the bean is 1/4 of an inch deep, that means how far are we going to?
Half an inch.
Oh, I'm loving it already. Oh, couldn't we have a thick bit as well?
No.
You know, we're going to have brilliant bits.
They're good brilliant bits.
Maybe we could have a dead thick bit too.
No.
So all that we're going to do, though, is get these started because they will then get a root established and then we'll be okay to be putting them out in the next few weeks. That'll be fine.
I think when we did the first meal barrow, because as I remember the first meal barrow, we sent you outside and we stayed inside.
I was just had a flashback of
we had a very, very long microphone cable.
Yeah.
And we sat in the tangerinery.
Yeah, you and Julia. Well, I did the work outside.
Yeah, so it must have been, so it must have been
it was freezing.
Must have been around April time, something like that.
I don't know. I think we'll go back and have a look at that.
Because obviously you could kind of pin it by sort of events in the calendar. And Easter's quite late this year. So if we sort of said around Easter, because it's about mid-April, I think, this year.
Well, I want to get these going so that we can show them to different people. But as I say, these were from J. Parker's. So if in doubt, have a little go.
J. Parker it out.
Yeah.
You've already
dead good brilliant bit.
You've already mentioned it. Yeah, the dead good brilliant bit.
Gareth, can we just have a new twiddly bit or something? Or shall we just say it?
Dead good brilliant.
No, I like that.
So
otherwise, here it is.
Because you landed it on me.
Yeah.
I haven't had time to order it. Oh. So I need to have a conversation with Danny, who is the voice. I'm trying to think if we caught this. We didn't. So the last episode of the last season was at the beginning of November. I need to tell you this story because it's brilliant.
It's a dead good, brilliant bit.
It's a dead good story, this is. So that was the beginning of November. At the end of November, I was at a conference for work, and it was at Warwick University, which is ironically not in Warwick, it's in Coventry, just to confuse stupid people like me. And there was a conference in the daytime, and then in the evening there was a meal with an award ceremony that was laid on. And we were all, I had to top myself up. I had to wear a suit. It wasn't the event where I had to wear the tuxedo. That was a week later. So
he gets about it.
I do. Anyway, so we were stood in the drinks reception for this meal before they let us into the dining area and having a drink, and then they were trying to basically get our attention to go and sit down at our table. And there's this voice comes on the microphone, "Can you all please make your way to the dining room?" And I went, I know that voice. And I turned around and it was Danny who does our twiddly bits.
And did you have flashbacks of us then?
No, I didn't. No, I was like, I think I started with, what the are you doing here? But then I remembered he's an event host as well.
Oh.
So I need to get in touch with him and I'll get him to record Dead Good Twiddly Bit.
Good twiddly bit.
Dead Good Twiddly Bit for the brilliant bit.
And if anybody wants to book Danny, well, obviously, if you come via us, via Gareth will get him booked for you and take a cut from him.
I'm not sure I'm his agent. Not sure he wants me as his agent.
Oh, well, if you're looking for a kind of host or something.
A host with the most.
A host with the most or a voiceover person type thing, then we know
Cox
Danny.
is your man.
Yeah. Anyway, brilliant bit, Elaine.
Well, it's one that we started a few years ago, and we've started all over again, haven't we?
Yeah.
Because I love it. Because it is dead good, and it is
The brilliant
brilliant.
bit.
Okay, what is it?
It's a washing line for seeds.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, well,
meant
what
to plant them, not
happens? No. So what happens is, when we have open days or people come from different plots and they have a look at what we're growing and they invariably say, ooh, what variety is that, or where have you had them from, or what seed make was that? And we've forgotten by then, even though we've usually written it down. So what we do, like last year, we pinned the empty seed packets all the way round the polytunnel. But it's hard now because you've got scaffolding and that's dead hard to get a pin in that, isn't it?
Sorry.
Yeah.
You've got scaffolding.
Yeah, scaffolding, it's like iron, isn't it, that goes all the way round. It's not wood anymore. So instead, what we're going to do, and we have done in the greenhouses before, is we've put washing lines up. And if you put a little washing line up in the greenhouse and then just peg all of the empty seed packets along there, when people say, what variety was that, this or the other, we just say, I'll just go and have a look for you.
It does look quite jolly, and you could.
Yeah.
I mean, we will probably put some washing line up in the Potty Plotters H quarters, and
in the shed quarters.
In the shed quarters.
Is that just so you can dry your smalls?
Yeah, no, because I think it looks almost like bunting, doesn't it? All the little colourful packets of seeds.
I still think we need to take a little step back, and it's a great, brilliant bit.
Yeah.
But you've had a renovation while we've been off air, and you've gone to scaffolding rather than wood.
No, I've not. I don't know where she's got that from.
Well, we had wood round one, didn't we? That was in the community polytunnel.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, but round yours, we can't put it in because you've got scaffolding.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I read way too much into it.
Yes.
You haven't had renovations.
I've had no renovations.
No, not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. What are you planning? Well, you want a new shed, don't you? A new greenhouse.
I do, yeah. I'm thinking that we might move one and get one in. Yeah, I've got a feeling. Yeah.
Okay. So that's this week's Dead Good Brilliant Bit.
Dead good.
Yeah, that was it.
Dead Good Brilliant Bits, the Potty Plotters Plotcast.
Something else that's dead good, because we do it every year and we save our seeds every year, although, like I said, we've been sat at home looking at internet, ordering lots of seeds, so we've even got new seeds of these, but sweet peas, Elaine, we saved them and now we've bought more of them.
We have. Right, first of all, I'm going to say that I've got a new packet. Ooh, I dropped it. Right, so this is the new packet, and pink Cupid.
Aww.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Oh, they're nice.
Yes. Yeah. But what have you noticed about the packet there then, Mr. Gareth?
That it is an RHS award a garden merit, so it's obviously very good.
Good.
It's very
Dead
good.
good.
It's dead good. It's dead good seed, that is.
Yeah.
And it's for baskets and containers.
Yes.
Is that what I should have picked?
Yeah.
Is that the bit I was supposed to pick out?
Well, we've never done sweet peas for baskets and containers, and I keep rambling on.
Hang on a minute, we do plant our sweet peas in containers because we use those big dolly tubs that we do. And
Yeah,
then
but they're massive.
And then we put bamboo canes.
Yeah, they grow about 7 foot.
Yeah.
I assume these are smaller.
Yes, and they are for hanging baskets and for small containers. So they literally are going to be, within the proximity of about 2 foot, I would have thought.
And will
so
we
they're
be
not
able
going
to
to be the
smell
tall
them?
ones. Well, it said that they are scented. So yes, I'm hoping so, Julia.
It also says, and I quote, germination takes between 10 and 21 days. Plant height is between 15 and 20 centimetres, that's 6 to 8 inches in old money. And its preferred position is full sun. Now I know that, because that's my preferred position as well.
There you go. So I thought what we'd do is we'd have a go. Now, I'm not going to repeat every time we do the same as we've done before, but what we have got here is some I grew earlier.
Ooh, you should
now
have.
then, I know that this is a takeaway container.
So it's really annoying now because our local takeaway is closed. And we've had to move. Yeah, it's really annoying. And we've had to move to another one that doesn't do those plastic boxes. So,
Well, do you want some off us?
that's fine. We've got plenty left, but we're not going to inherit any new ones. And you know what I also forgot as well is that while we've been off, I've been collecting punnets. But because we had visitors at Christmas, they got put in the garage, and I then this morning forgot to pick them up. So I've now got you quite a lot of punnets at home.
And the punnets are really useful.
Not right now, obviously, because we haven't got anything to give away.
No, but I mean, honestly, Gareth, these work time after time. It's brilliant.
Dead good.
Brilliant. But it's not.
Milk's brilliant.
Because
They're climbing out of it.
Well, I've waited because we weren't going to be
we've been
meeting for a
talking about
little
the
while.
last few days, so we've been trying to get out. And who can blame them?
So, all it is a clear takeaway container, and I've taken the top off, but we put a layer of paper, kitchen paper on the bottom, and we've made it damp, spraying it, and make sure that you don't put too much water on. And then all I've done is sprinkle the seeds, the sweet pea seeds, on the top, put another layer of damp paper on, and then put the top back on and leave it somewhere light and warm as well. And these have popped up in no time. Well, when I say that, it's just incredible. These were planted on the 13th, so a few days ago. But what I can tell you is, it's fair to say,
Blimey.
the root and the shoot. So what I've got here is a root that's now...
Well, that's
A root
nearly,
and
that's
shoot.
nearly an inch and a half, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
both
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah.
Isn't that wonderful? So
It's
these
brilliant.
are these are ready
You're gonna
now.
regret creating
I know,
that
I
one.
shouldn't have ever said it.
Nope.
But these are now ready to be planted. So very shortly they're going to go into multi-purpose compost. But the good thing about it is that I think that if we do more container planting, coming back to it, that more people who haven't got the luxury, and it is, of having an allotment or their own big space, that you can do these, and in a hanging basket, I think these could be quite lovely. So I thought we'd just have a little go at it. If it works, it works. And if it doesn't, well, it wasn't such a dead good, brilliant bit, was it?
Well, it wasn't
I
the dead
think
good
it'll
brilliant bit
work.
because
No.
that was the washing line, but never mind.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, let's give it a
they'll
go.
work. I
Yeah.
think they'll work. And do you know, you could get onto J. Parker's and see whether they've got any sweet pea seeds.
Yeah, could do.
Because they're our sponsors now, Elaine.
Okay then, well, let's have a little go and see what it is. So I'll just put those all to one side and I'll have a go at those and see what happens in the next session.
The Plotcast Podcast with the Potty Plotters.
J. Parker's is a leading bulb and plant retailer specialising in supplying exceptional quality and value products for over 90 years. So why not let J. Parker's help you grow your garden for less and benefit from their vast experience and product range for over 2,000 product lines. And here's the best bit. They're offering all our listeners of the Plotcast podcast an exclusive 15% off on all orders. Visit jparkers.co.uk and use the code PLOTCAST15. That's PLOTCAST15 at the checkout.
The Plotcast Podcast with the Potty Plotters, sponsored by J. Parker's.
Right then, Julia. So I just thought it was dead important that we talk about ranunculus because we do all kinds of... What?
It started off just deadly serious. So, Julia, I think it's really important that we talk about... And then you just drop the word ranunculus. I'm sorry.
We've had a cock up on these, haven't we?
We've had a bit of a cock up.
Oh, go on then.
Technical term. So,
It was not an experiment, it was a cock up.
Yeah, it was an experiment because it was mine. If it's an experiment, it's mine. It's Elaine's.
Okay, fine.
So
I'm glad we've got that one clear after 3 seasons.
Yeah. So, ranunculus, as we've said previously, we are getting more into growing our own cut flowers. We started off just growing the dahlias. We've gone a little bit further with it. And actually later on in the season, we are going to be speaking to a flower farmer all the way up in Scotland. But that's for a future episode. But one thing that I have thought about is, of course, a lot of the flowers that we grow don't really get going until about June, July time. And I thought there's that gap where you have your daffodils and your tulips, but what else can we grow? And I saw ranunculus. Now, ranunculus are from the buttercup family, but they are quite beautiful. Do you know the kind that I mean, Elaine?
Yeah, because I've grown them.
Yeah? Okay.
So you need to know, really, innit?
Thanks for that. But they sometimes, I would say they look like a cross between a peony and a rose.
Yeah, I was going to say poppy as well, because the leaves are very, very... not the leaves, the petals are very thin, aren't they? Yeah, paper-like, beautiful.
But they do stand up very well as a cut flower. We tried some last year and they worked really well. But one thing about them is they don't like it too warm. So their ideal time for growing is probably May, June time.
Yeah.
So I thought, right, we'll give it a go. And I'd been reading that you could set them early, the back end of the year, probably September, October time, and overwinter them or plant them in spring. Well, I have to say, and I'm going to be honest now, I set some in September. They did manage to get going, and they are producing and looking really, really healthy at the moment.
So how big are they now? I have actually seen them in your greenhouse.
So ranunculus, you don't grow them from bulbs or anything. They're called claws. So I'm getting my claws out here, Elaine. But they look like claws. And the way that you do them is it's recommended that you soak them beforehand for a couple of hours, then dry them off and pop them into your compost and then let them get going, so get them chitting. You can plant them directly into the soil, but there's no chance of that on our plots with the damp that we've got. So I set some of them in September, as I said. They've come out brilliantly. I've overwintered them. On the very few occasions we've had like snow or really hard frost, I've actually popped in, just put some fleece over the top just to protect them, and then I've uncovered them, let them go, and they are already looking about 6 inches tall. I think in the next week or so I'll be popping them in the ground. And the reason for doing them in autumn is that you're supposedly meant to get much longer stems, so that's one of the reasons I've done it. However, I then, having seen those get going, I decided to plant some a bit later. I think it was around the end of October, and they just rotted. They just rotted in the compost, and I think it got too cold. They weren't interested in growing, and so I've had to bin the lot of them because, you know, you said leave them, they might grow, but when I actually fetched them out of the compost, they'd gone all squishy. So I won't be doing that again. So my tip is grow them probably around September time to get them
established.
Get them established. And I am quite optimistic that I am going to have some long stems on them. But I did hold back, and I am a bit of an advocate for that. So don't plant put all your eggs in one basket.
Or ranunculus.
You can't plant those.
No, don't plant an egg. But don't do them all at once. So I've kept some back, and I'll be planting some probably towards the end of February, and setting some more going. But I'm not expecting quite the stem on them. But I just think they are something that we will have in our cut flower garden a little bit earlier. But I will be getting tips from our flower farmer on ranunculus, I think.
That's it then, isn't it?
Aren't you growing any?
Ranunculus?
Yeah.
No.
Oh.
No. I have done them in the past, and I think what might have been the problem is that because you wet them, then you put them into cold compost, and then it never warmed up, did it? Because let's face it, Julia, it's been perishing.
Yeah.
So I think that's why it is that the October ones were successful, because we ended up with some decent weather at back end.
Yeah.
So maybe it's the fact that they just weren't warm at all.
Well, one good thing that I can tell you might not have noticed it, but your tulips, that £6 bed that you planted about 4 years ago, are coming up already.
Yeah, it looks fantastic, doesn't it? But never mind, we've got some more breaking news that will be coming next time we speak, because Julia, we're going to be talking a little bit about my dahlias that we put in cat litter.
I wondered what was coming your way. I thought we'd won an award or something. No, cat litter.
No, cat litter. Yeah. So next time we're going to be talking about erections, aren't we?
Are we?
Think so.
Oh.
Yeah, this is where Gareth has now got his head in his hands.
Wow.
But yeah, we're going to be talking about greenhouses.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. What else did you think?
Scaffolding.
Yeah, scaffolding, loads of that, polytunnels.
Yeah, repairs.
Yeah, ooh,
Sheds.
there's a lot to be repaired out there. So
Well,
what
that
with
could be the
cat
storm
litter and
damage then, won't
erections? What?
That'll be the storm damage then, won't
Yes,
it?
it will be, yeah. So, right, well, now we can have another cup of tea, can't we?
Yeah, if you want. Is there some milk left?
Oh, I don't know.
The Plotcast podcast with the Potty Plotters, sponsored by J. Parker's, is an Amberland Media production.